comments. Very proud of our team. It was a year that we had to overcome a lot. I think this game was maybe very similar to the type of season we had as far as losing some key people and other guys having to step up and make plays and just continue our focus and continue to fight. And really proud of our players, especially our seniors. A lot of the seniors get a lot of attention because they played a lot. They made plays. They made tackles and catches and touchdowns and all those types of things and threw touchdown passes. But there's a lot of our seniors that were scout teamers. There were some seniors that were walk-ons. But all those guys are very important to our program. And I just want to wish them the best because they deserve it. They're dogs for life, and we're going to be there for them. To help them transition to life after football. It's just very important to me to let our guys know that and to follow through with that. Thought our coaching staff did a super job. Great game defensively tonight. Their offense has been averaging over 30-some points a game, and we were able to hold them to 14. It was huge. Even towards the very end, when they were trying to get 7 more on the board, they kept fighting to the very end. And proud of the job they did. Our offensive staff, pulled together under some adversity. Is anytime you lose a coach like Mike Bobo, you gotta rally. You gotta come together and do that. I know Will Friend's going to be going on to Colorado State with Mike, but Will chose to stay for this bowl game. I think that was very key to our success. It had been very difficult to run this bowl game without Will being there with those offensive linemen. I think they played their tails off for him and for Georgia. John Lilly obviously did a super job of calling the game. He did a very good job of honing the game plan down, spending time with Hudson, making sure he was comfortable with everything that was going on, and then being able to react once we lost Hudson and had to go to Plan B. And Plan B was kind of, I guess it made it a little bit simpler. Just give it to Nick, but Nick did a beautiful job, obviously, but he couldn't do it by himself. But he showed everybody in the country again that he's a pretty talented young man and a really tough kid and a good kid. He's got good grades. He behaves well. He kind of minds his own business and goes about his business, and in a very positive way. I'm just real proud of Nick. I guess with that, want me to introduce Nick? Or
no, we're good now. We'll take questions
and answers.
Yeah. Questions, raise your hand.
My general comments were probably too long.
Oh, they were great.
Marcel, Louisville's defense came in ranked third before the bowl games against the run. Why did you guys have so much success running the ball tonight?
Well, you just you block well and you run well. I mean, it's and you scheme well. You got to have a good scheme, and I think you have to be patient too, because I mean, I don't know how many times early on we had a 1-yard gain, 2-yard gain, 1-yard gain. It wasn't like we were just plowing through them. When you look at the end result, you think, wow, we really ran the ball well against them, and we did. But it took some patience too. The other thing too is just having the score the way it was, and us trying to chew up as much clock as possible in the second half. That kind of didn't force us to run the ball, but we chose to run the ball even more so for that reason. If we were behind 2 scores, we wouldn't have run the ball that well. We'd have been slinging it around the yard trying to get back in the game. So a lot of it had to do with how well we played defense. A lot of it had to do with the score, and a lot of some of it had to do with just the fact that Hudson was out of the game, and we didn't want to put too much on our younger quarterback.
Who has the next question?
To our left. Can you talk about your desire to coach in the SEC and sort of the rigors of it,
Yeah.
and so forth?
Well, you know, I mean, it's, I coached for 15 years at Florida State and 1 year at East Carolina. And then taking the Georgia job was an exciting opportunity for me and my family. But you know, it's a rugged league. I mean, you just look at Arkansas. I mean, they were what, 6-6, and saw the kind of game they had, and really Arkansas was probably. I mean, they lose by 1 to Bama. They got Texas A&M by the throat in the fourth quarter and let it go, and they had a couple of really close games. If they could have won 2 or 3 close ones, I mean, they might have made it to the SEC championship game. You know, so it's a very tough league, and when you win in this league, you know you've done something very special. And it's not just on the field; it's in recruiting, it's in facilities, it's in coaching staffs. I mean, it's a league that everybody cares, and the passion of our fans is by far the most exciting thing about our league. And
Press that thing again.
God bless America. We didn't pay the light bill.
Mark, when you think about next year and the optimism, I mean, I would think a lot of it's going to start with Nick.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you run the ball like that with Nick, and you know, obviously Sony is a pretty good back too. Brandon Douglas is a guy who's done well for us, and I think Keith Marshall is going to get ready to get in the best shape of his career and get back in the saddle there too. You know, so we certainly have some backs that are talented, and it's a good place to start. We've got as of right now 4 out of 5 offensive linemen returning, and I hadn't even looked at the rest of it, but you know, I think all of our tight ends are back, fullbacks. At least Quavon's back. You know, so we've got some good things offensively building on.
Mark,
Front row right here. Right here, front row. I'm sorry.
Coach, do you care to comment on Bryce Ramsey's performance in the game tonight?
Sure. I think Bryce came in, and of course he came in really, really cold. You know, that first throw that he had, that was a pick. You know, we decided to take a shot. You know, if you score, it's a real smart play. We get a pick, maybe throw an interception, which, you know, is not, you know, exactly what you're hoping for. But I mean, he didn't even have one shot, one opportunity to even warm up. I mean, we were assessing Hudson at the last moment. Ron Corson, our director of sports medicine, didn't really get the word that Hudson was a little bit dizzy until right towards the end of that defensive series that we were in. So we were just like scrambling to get him in the game, and probably should have put him in that position right there at that moment. But you know, he did some good things. He made a couple nice throws that were big on some third down situations and kept drives going. And he made some mistakes too. You know, a couple run checks, didn't get it just quite right, you know. But it was a big responsibility, and overall he secured the ball well, in the ball handling and all that type of thing. So he did a good job. But it's like I talked to our offensive line. I said the best friend of a freshman quarterback is a really tough offensive line that can run, block, and pass pro, and help him out. And they did that.
Mark, what does this full win mean for you personally, given how the regular season ended and the coaching staff changes?
Well, it's great to win, period. I mean, it's just not fun to lose. Losing stinks. Losing leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And I told the team before the game that I was thankful that we had another game to play. Because, the last game we played together obviously was our loss to Tech, and it's not fun to lose, period. And so I'm glad that, you know, for our seniors' sake and for our team's sake, that we had a chance to play another game, a chance to win a game against a really good team. And by the way, the bowl was awesome. I really appreciate the job that the Belk Bowl did for our players and our staff, and the accommodations, and in the high school country day we stayed at, and they used their facility. It was really good. You know, a lot of really good things happened, but it's nice to finish the season with a victory. 10 wins it's a pretty good benchmark for a good season. And you know, maybe we'll slip into the top 10 somehow too. I don't know who's winning and losing and all that kind of thing, but it'd be nice to finish in the top 10 as well. That's not the ultimate goal when you start the season, but at this point, it'd be a nice finish for us.
We're gonna go 4 more, then we're gonna give Nick a crack. First one, front row here.
Mark, about right around kickoff, just a rumor started flying around on Twitter, social media, officials at the university were even taking phone calls about you, whether or not you're going to announce your retirement at the end of the game today. If it's not true, why do you think those were going? Why do you think that was not taking place?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
So you plan on being back next year?
That's the plan. You can go ask the team, man. Nick, should I retire?
Mark, you've coached 1 or 2 NFL players, you know, who have gone on to the NFL. Can you kind of put a scouting hat on it and what your opinions of guys like Mike Thornton and Damian Swan are, and
As far as their
Ray
opportunities?
Drew at the next level?
You know what, we've had, every year, we're probably averaging about, I guess, about 4 to 5 guys a year making it in the league. You know, one year we had about 8 guys drafted. I think we had 1 year, 2 years ago, then we had 10 guys make it. So, you know, anywhere between, we probably had a low of maybe 3, but we've been up as high as 10 guys making it in any given year. But I think these guys will have a tremendous opportunity. You know, whether or not they get drafted or what round they get drafted and all that kind of thing, I don't know. I can't really predict that, but we've had a bunch of guys make it in the league because when they get there, the coaches love them because they know how to practice, they know how to prepare. They've been they know football, and they're high character people. So I'm sure we'll have much more making this year.
Back to the room,
Coach, when you start game planning and getting ready for a game, could you have imagined that it turned out like this with the running game that you guys ended up with tonight?
Well, we weren't shying away from trying to run the football. Yeah, we've run the ball extremely well all year long. We were one of the better running teams in America, and we played against some pretty stout defenses over the year and had success running the football. So we knew that's a big part of what we do. We weren't going to shy away from it. We knew it may take a while. You may have to pound a little bit before something big happens, but you start out with some 1s and 2s and 3s and maybe 5s here and there, and then before you know it, you break out with a couple big ones, and all of a sudden your numbers look even better. So that you have to be patient when you run the football, and we were all year long. We were tonight.
2 to our left.
Mark, how important was it, you know, not to be able to get some passes downfield, especially the big shot at Tom, that it kind of made him respect your passing game too, got back on the heels a little bit?
Well, we did. We wanted to make sure we took a couple shots early on, and obviously, you know, we protected well and hit a good coverage, and you know, Chris ran by everybody, and Hudson was able to just lay it in there. He didn't have to throw it in, you know, he didn't have to throw under duress. You know, we had a couple other times. I think we had some people open, but didn't protect quite as well. Might have had another 1 or 2 go deep, but I think it's important to, you know, let them know you're there. Let them know you can throw over the top, because if those safeties live on the line of scrimmage, it's very difficult to run the football when you have unblocked safeties at linebacker levels. So, yeah, that was big.
Our last one.
Nick took over. I mean, he runs for 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns in 8 games. Did you have any idea he was going to be as good?
Well, I know Nick we know Nick's a great player, and kind of the timing of when Nick took over. You had Todd's situation, you had Keith Marshall injury, you had Sonny Michel injury. You know, so he had to carry that rock a bunch. And I think if everybody would have stayed healthy, you know, even if Sony was healthy or Keith Marshall, whoever, you know, I think that load would have been shared a little bit more. But Nick having to do what he had to do and proving that he could stand the rigors of it physically, from just the pounding aspect and just the conditioning aspect. You know, he proved that he could do something like he did tonight. So going into this game, it wasn't a mystery to us that he'd be able to do something like this.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Nick, you ready?